Good morning, everybody. My name is Michael Rivera, and today I'm going to be talking about heat transfer in architecture. So basically, um, how physics helps create a more energy efficient buildings. Is that, before class, I never really thought about how much physics goes into designing a building. But, heat transfer is like one of the biggest things that architecture and architects have to deal with since, it affects how comfortable people can be and how a space can feel, how much energy the building uses and even long-term costs. And especially here in El Paso, where it gets like crazy hot in the summer. And so controlling the heat is really important. Um, Three methods of like how heat moves that I learned is that, conduction, convection, and radiation. I made a little diagram here to kind of like show them, you know, where conduction is when heat moves through, direct contact, like through a wall or a window. Convection is when, heat moves with like air radiation and, heat that comes from the sun. Pretty much every design decision relates back to one of these like three. So looking at conduction first, materials make a huge difference, like steel and concrete. They transfer heat really fast, while wood and insulation tend to like slow it down. So that's why we put insulation in the walls and in the roofs. So, because it helps keep the heat out in the summer and keeps the warm, inside during the winter. Then there's convection, and radiation. Convection is just all about air movement. Warm air rises, cool air tends to sink. And so if you design a building with good airflow and a smart window placement, you can like reduce how much, like, you need for air conditioning. And radiation is the sun's heat, hitting the building. And stuff like the roof overhangs, shading devices, and even like the direction the building faces can really cut down on, unwanted, heat gain. So how do architects actually control all of this? Well, they use kind of like a few main strategies, which is using, high quality insulation, doubling pane windows, sealing up air leaks, reflective roofing materials, and, smart orientation, like I just said. So, none of these are super complicated on their own, but when you combine them, the building becomes way more comfortable and uses a lot less energy. Basically, understanding heat transfer completely changed, how I look at design. It's not just about, making a building look good. It's all about, and it's about how it performs. And as an architecture student, I feel like this is something I'll definitely keep in mind. But in future projects, I'll definitely be considering the placement, materials, and, a lot of these little details that many people overlook. And these are my sources that I cited. And yeah, thank you.